What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bullwinkle Blueprint. Hopefully, everyone's having an amazing day. Happy Sunday. Happy NFL Sunday. I'm ready for some football, man. Look, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and as always, if you're looking to support the channel in the freest way possible, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. Remember, the next few months in crypto will be insane. And today's title, it's not clickbait. Oh no, my friends. XRP's detonation, it is coming. It is right around the corner. It's exactly what the charts, the macro, and the positioning are all screaming at the same time, and I got the proof. This week is lined up like a financial demolition charge incoming. It's gonna get wild. Every catalyst hits back to back to back, and XRP is sitting in the most explosive setup that we have seen since 2017. You're going to understand why by the end of this video, and we're going to kick it off right here. Look at this week ahead of us. You want to talk about when the biggest bull run is going to start? Well, I think we got our answer. To me, this looks like someone leaked the script for a macro nuclear event. Let's walk through this. Because if even half of this aligns, the markets won't wait for confirmation. Monday, QE starting. If liquidity taps open even slightly, everything risk on gets repriced up fast. Tuesday, your inflation expectations come out. Lower prints, that's just gas on your fire. Wednesday, Fed rate cuts. The moment rate cuts turn real instead of just being a theory, right? Crypto reacts instantly because lower yields, it forces money back into your risk assets. Thursday, the Fed balance sheets are released. If QT slows or even flattens, you got a major liquidity wave incoming. And then Friday, is Jerome Powell gonna step down? I'll tell you right now, the moment Jerome Powell steps down or his time just comes to an end, forget about it. The markets are gonna melt from pure uncertainty, then they are gonna rip from pure liquidity. The bigger narrative here, though, is this tweet isn't predicting just random events, right? It is outlining the liquidity regime shift that crypto has been waiting for 18 long months. And XRP, well, XRP historically, it reacts later but harder when your liquidity flips. But that brings us over to this, talking about altcoins. Altcoins are much closer to a bottom than a top, and it's the reverse for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is much closer to a top than a bottom. This one hits differently because look, it's backed by actual macro structures, not just hopium from some Twitter personality screaming bull market. This tweet, it dives into the Russell 2000, your small caps, and this is where smart money always looks. When small caps break out, it is your market screaming to you, liquidity is coming back and your risk is turning on. And the wildest part about all this is that the IWM just printed its highest monthly close ever. We're talking record highs. So while Bitcoin and altcoins are still lagging below theirs, this is the exact same lag, if you remember, we saw back in 2020 and 2021, right before the monster altcoin wave hit. Every alt season we've seen, and now I don't care if you've been in the market in 2013, 2017, or 2020, it doesn't matter because every single altcoin or alt season, I should say, it has one thing in common. Your small caps move first and then your altcoins followed, and XRP has always moved last. Then we talk about the structural signals that we're seeing out there, right? Bitcoin still in a clean higher time frame uptrend. Remember, that does not get broken unless Bitcoin falls under 74K. Your altcoins, they are tracking liquidity the same exact way they did back in 2020. No bear market in history ever began with small caps at all-time highs. Remember that. And your macro bomb about all this, rate cuts already started. QE, your QE liked actions projected for 2026. We're talking about tax relief talks are heating up, funding pressures rising, stimulus checks coming around summer time frame of 2026. Everything is screaming one thing here, folks. This isn't the start of a bear market. This is an extended cycle. Perhaps even the 4-year is thrown out the window. In 2026 might be the real peak. And if that's true, XRP has a lot, and I mean a lot of room to run, especially when you start looking at the ETFs and how much XRP they're sucking off of the over the counter. When you look at what Ripple is doing out there with RLUSD and XRP and the CFTC, everything is screaming XRP is going a lot higher. Before we get into the next section, let's do a quick little market check. Doesn't look that good, but it also doesn't look bad, right? Total cryptocurrency market cap still above 3 trillion. Bitcoin's coming in at 88,826. ETH's coming in at 2,958. And XRP's coming in still above $2. XRP's been in a super, super tight range. To me, nothing crazy, right? Market's been the same for the past couple of weeks here, but you can just feel your liquidity pressure is building, which gets us over to this piece of news. Remember, Bank of America, they are a Ripple partner. They have over 80 something patents out there with the XRP ledger being mentioned. This is huge. Bank of America here, they are telling the world, get ready. The Fed has to pump reserves back into the system. This program, your reserve management purchases, is QE without calling it QE. It injects liquidity into your banks. It prevents reserve scarcity, and it keeps funding markets stable. And the pattern's crystal clear, folks. You got rising reserves, which leads to rising risk assets, which leads into crypto ripping. If the Fed announces this in December, that's your spark. That is what you need to be paying attention to. The narrative flips from tightening to we're easing again, whether you like it or not. And you know what XRP loves? It loves liquidity expansion, which moves us over to xrprightnow.com. If you don't have this saved in your bookmarks, I don't know what you're doing. Your number one source for your Ripple and XRP news. There is so much rumblings and misinformation out there about XRP's circulating supply, Ripple's escrow, over-the-counter liquidity. Well, I put an end to it all. I wrote an article. We talked about it. We talked about every single aspect in here. Your total current supply, how much XRP has been burned, your max supply. We talked about over-the-counter. We talked about the escrow. We talked about all the key differences from it, what Ripple can and cannot do with its escrow, what's liquid, the ETFs. It's all broken down into this article. You can see I'm scrolling through it, how long it is. We got all the sources up there as well. Go check it out. I will link it in the YouTube video down below. But let's talk about this. Let's talk about the ultimate signal here of why we believe XRP is on the cusp of a breakout. This right here, what you're looking at, this is the powder keg. What you're seeing is shorts versus longs. XRP isn't just heavily shorted. It's the most aggressively shorted major asset in the market. There's practically no long support in comparison to your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. You know what happens, right? This is the exact game that the market makers play with you. They see all the money right now is currently shorting XRP. So what are the market makers going to do? They're not going to let these shorts win. They're going to send the price of XRP up. They're going to launch it. And what does that do? That liquidates all of the shorts. It gets them out of all of their positions. They do the same thing when the market is over longed. What do? They crash the price, they liquidate the longs, and then you see the instant rebound to the upside. That is how they reset the markets. This is how we know XRP is ready to make its move. It's almost comical, the inbounds. It's extreme. Look at this. 15 million in shorts compared to 0.6 in longs. Why does this matter though? Everyone's like, Rip, I don't get it though. What does this matter? Why do people care if there's so many shorts in the market? It's very simple. The market makers are not going to let you win. All of this data is public record, public knowledge. The market makers see it. Do you really think the market makers are going to want to pay out these people and the exchanges are going to want to pay out these people on their shorts? No. So what do? They liquidate them. What happened on October 10th? The market was overlonged. So what did the market makers do? They wiped out $19 billion in longs, meaning your public trader lost their asses. Who won? The market makers and the exchanges. When you see a coin that is this one-sided, you only need a small catalyst, folks, a small spark here, and shorts will get absolutely obliterated. We're talking forced market buys, chain reaction liquidations, even true short squeeze mechanics. When you combine that with rising liquidity in your macro catalyst, you have the perfect storm. So when you connect all of this together, especially the week that we're looking at ahead, the liquidity surge, the small cap breakouts, the stealth QE that's coming, the insane short positioning, your picture becomes very obvious. We are walking into an XRP volatility event that's been building silently for months. And once this catalyst hits, the whole structure is going to detonate. Most people won't see it until they're chasing the green candles, but those of you listening to this channel, we don't chase green, we celebrate green. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on your way out, and I'll see all y'all on the next one.